Oh boy. All right. So that recursion is crazy, crazy, crazy nonsense. That is a bunch of craziness there, Quanticus. So I did have to end up looking it up. I did have to end up getting some help with it. So what we ended up with. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
That's some craziness. I'm sorry. I had to look it up. I failed. Mission failed. So we ended up with if number absolutely equals 0 or number absolutely equals 1. So we kind of did a true / false thing here going. So if number did equal 0, we returned 1. Else we returned number times factorial number minus 1. I think I'm reading that correctly. Hope I'm reading that correctly. Writing clean functions. Let's learn some principles for writing functions. Use descriptive function names. Oh, I didn't check my avatar. Make sure he's not being wonky. He's being a little wonky. There we go. So a lot of the times, it can be really confusing. When I'm coding, I kind of turn my chair to the side, and I'm kind of like sitting sideways with my neck turned towards the screen. So sometimes, like, as you can tell, he doesn't look left very well, and that's because I can't look left very well when I'm already looking left at the screen. So, you know, sometimes you can kind of tell, like, when I'm sitting straight forward towards the screen, which I usually only do if I'm playing something, but if I'm coding, I'm typically, like, turned to the side with my legs stretched out. But thank you so much for welcoming me back, Quanticus. You welcome back. I never left. I was always here in spirit. Always here in spirit. Let's learn some principles for writing functions. Use descriptive function names. Your function name should be able to explain exactly what the function does and its purpose. More specific the job, the more specific the name should be. A function should do one thing only. If you have a giant function that executes multiple algorithms and calculations, you should split it into smaller functions. Every function should be small as it possibly can. Keep your functions small. As we already stated, functions should be kept as small as possible. Some programmers even state that no function should be longer than 20 to 25 lines of code. Use as little parameters as possible. Try to avoid using booleans as arguments as well. The less arguments, the more readability increases. When using functions, you should be able to read your code from top to bottom. Every function that calls another function should be above the same function. As the father of clean code, Robert C. Martin, states, we want the code to read like a top-down narrative. We want every function to be followed by those at the next level of abstraction, so that way we can read the program, descending one level of abstraction at a time. As we read down the list of functions, I call this the step-down rule. To say this differently, we want to be able to read the program as though it were a set of two paragraphs, each of which is describing the current level of abstraction and referencing subsequent 2 paragraphs at the next level down. Objects! Objects time, objects time, objects time, objects time, objects time. Come on, sing it. Objects time, objects time, objects time, objects time. Objects time. All right, we'll briefly cover the data type called object. This is one of, if not the most important concept in JavaScript. If you want to learn more about objects and object-oriented programming, you can take my next course called Object-Oriented Programming in JavaScript. You will need it. We learned that variables can hold a value. An object is a variable that can hold many values. They are different than arrays because every value has a specific name. The values are written as name-value pairs, name and value separated by a colon. Every value that an object has is called a property. If the value is a function, and it is called a method. Let's look at a real-life example. A car, for example, would have the properties name, model, weight, color. It would have the methods start, drive, brake, stop. This is what the car object would look like in JavaScript. Const car equals name Tesla, model S, weight 2,250, color white. This is the syntax for declaring an object. We use curly brackets to declare an object. Inside, we can add any properties we want by writing name, value, properties. Properties are separated by a comma. To access a property in an object, we use dot notation. For example, car.name, car.model. We can also add methods to an object using function expressions. Const cat equals, in curly brackets, we do meow, which is our name, into an arrow function that console logs meow. We can access them as follows. Cat.meow outputs meow. We could also use bracket notation to access values, but it's less common. Console.log car, and in brackets, we put name. And it gives us Tesla. With this info, we can conclude that JavaScript uses a lot of objects. Examples of objects you have already been using are the console object and the math object. We can see that console is an object that has a method called log, used to print text to the console. I remember somebody saying that the other day. Used to print text to the console. There are lots of objects you can use in JavaScript. Feel free to explore on your own. Challenge. Declare an object called myObject. Oh my goodness gracious. My objects. Give it a property called name with a value of amazing data. I don't think I did that right. Did I do that right? No. Give it a method called print. Print prints hello world. What do you not like about it? Oh, I'm silly. Figured it out. I figured it out. There we go. Prints hello world. Try giving it other properties as well. Do I have to? No, I don't. We did good. We created an object with name and value pairs. And we gave it a method as well. I don't think I've ever given an object a method before, so let's go. Big things, big things. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Dog. Making a bunch of noise. Oh. Wow. Why you do that to me? I didn't even mean to click on that. It's over here trolling me. Alright, functions as parameters. To understand complex topics, we will first cover using functions as parameters. Let's look at a function that takes in another function as a parameter and calls it. Function calculator for two nums. Num1, num2, and calculate is arguments. Const result equals calculate num1 and num2. Console.log result. Function add nums, num1 and num2, return num1 plus num2. So then when we go to call the function, or to execute the function, we can put in the two parameters for num1, num2, and call add nums as well. Let's take a closer look. We have a calculator function that takes in two numbers as parameters. The third parameter is a function to run on these two numbers. Then we declare a function to add two numbers after that. We pass in two numbers to add the calculator function and pass in the declared function. In the declared function, the addNums function gets called with the two numbers we pass as parameters. You are given an already written function called modify element. Your job is to write a function called modify array. Job is to write a function called modify array that takes in an array and a function. Takes in an array and a function as a parameter. Inside of the modify array function, you should loop through the array. For every iteration, call the modify element function with the element as a parameter. You do not need to call the modify array function. Write it. Okay, so that takes in an array and a function. Okay. Takes in an array and function as a parameter. Inside of the modify array function, you should loop through the array And for every iteration, call the modify element. Man, my brain is frying. Holy crap. You should loop through the array, and for every iteration, call the modify element. So for array length, add one to I. And for every iteration, call the modify element. I need to call them up. I don't think this is right. I don't feel right. Function declaration. Modify array. Func. Side of the function should have a for loop that loops through the array. Does. Inside the loop, call the function the current element. Current element. But not like that. You should have a for loop that loops through the array. To the array. Inside the call the function current element.
Quanticus. Inside modify ARR, func becomes modify element, when you pass modify element, as an argument. So you'd call func with func, L.
Okay, inside modify array, func becomes modify element. Okay. So when you pass modify element as an argument, all right, let me read that again. Inside modify array, func becomes modify element. Okay. Okay. When you pass modify element as an argument. So you'd call func with okay. Func like that. Because technically, like, it looks like this outside, right? So like
Quanticus.
modify array.
You don't need it inside itself.
Blah blah blah. And then modify element, right? Looks like that when they pass it through later. Something like that. You don't need it inside itself. Oh. Eh?
Quanticus.
That's what it looks like, yeah? Okay. Like, yeah. Okay. Or do we not even need that at all? It's just func.
Quanticus. L is the element you want to pass in.
Okay. So it looks like that.
Quanticus. So it'll be an element of the array.
It'll be an element of the array. So for each iteration, we're doing element times 5 and console logging the value. L is the element you want to pass in, so it'll be an L of the. Okay, before I hit that run code button, are we looking good? Is everything fine now?
Quanticus.
L is just
the parameter of the modify element function itself.
So you need to pass
so you need to pass in an actual element.
Oh.
Quanticus.
L doesn't exist in modify ARR. Oh. Okay. Oh, so technically we're passing something here in the parentheses into modify element.
Quanticus.
Correct. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so whatever we're passing in here is going to be times 5 and console logging the new value. Okay. With the element. Okay. So is it I? Is it our counter? I guess in a way, I'm really confused on what the challenge is really wanting at the end.
Quanticus.
All of this. I is just the index. Okay. So we can't use I.
Quanticus.
How do you use that index to access the array? How do you use that index to access array dot length I? Like in brackets. Yeah.
Quanticus. Y length.
Y length? I don't know. I always confuse them. array index. I don't know. My brain always goes to length, like running that whole thing again, array.length index. But I guess length is just to guarantee or to count all of it together. Or just to return the length of the whole array.
Quanticus. So ARR is the array itself. Length is one of the ways to get a property of that array.
So we just want
Quanticus.
but you just want the elements. So then it's just array I, yeah?
Quanticus.
Yep, you got it.
Yep, you got it.
Right on. I'm waiting for one of the days where you're just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done trying to tell you the same crap every day. This tends to be where my brain gets super stuck, and I just don't know how to get my brain out of it.
Quanticus. Can you go?
Can I go back and explain it from the top? All right, let's try. And then you tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. So we have two functions. One, we'll start with the first one. So function modify element that takes in L as an argument, which I'm guessing is just abbreviated for element here. And then we're consting a new value. So we're creating a variable called new value that equals whatever element is times 5, and we're console logging that new value. But we have a function called modify array that takes in an array and then also takes in a function that's passed in when it's called later. And we have a for loop that is looping through the length of the array, and it's adding 1 for each iteration. And then we're calling the function that gets passed in, and we're passing the array's index into element. Or the array's element into element.
Quanticus. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Unless if you're doing what I do for the kids and I say, yep, that's right, and it's not actually right. Are you just protecting my feelings, Quanticus? Are you just protecting my feelings? Oh.
Quanticus. L inside modify element is just semantically an element. It could take any number technically.
Alright. L inside a modify element is just semantically an element. It could take any number. Yeah. The part that I was more worried about is, like, obviously we've explained for loops so many times, and it's actually, like, it's really hurtful on my brain that I know what a for loop is. I know what it does. I know what the, the 3 components that are going into it. But, like, every single time that I explain it, I always feel bad because I feel like I'm messing up what a for loop is doing. But the part that I was really concerned about, if I was explaining the right way, was func, and the argument is array index. That part I was worried about if I'm explaining the wrong way. Because, again, like, it's touching on something new. So, like, boot camp really didn't go through this whole part. Like this whole part right here, like we were already past. Like we were done doing things like this, and we started focusing more on like more React at that point.
Quanticus. There's other ways
Ways
to loop through an array like ARR
for each,
which you could use an anonymous function. It's really neat.
It's really neat. See, this is why I'm telling you, man. Come join that Discord. Come teach me a few things. I hope that didn't count as a second submit, because if it did, I probably just screwed myself for the day. Would you look at that? There's 4 each. And map. This is the first part of covering more complex array methods. These methods are used a lot and can even replace for loops and other loops. You will get used to them when you get more experience. We will use the following array to explain both methods. Const array equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The for each method calls a function for each element in an array. It does not modify the original array. So let sum equal 0, array.forEach. We're passing in a function called element that is going to have that we're going to declare sum, where sum equals sum plus element, and then we're going to console log the sum, which is 15. Give me 1 second just so that way I can try and get the dog to calm down a little bit.
Quanticus. Element isn't a function, but the element of the array itself.
Okay, so
Quanticus.
you can name it
whatever you want.
Oh, are we talking about when I was right here? When I was reading that part out loud?
Quanticus.
It's the parameter of the function. Oh, is it an anonymous function? Array.for each element.
Quanticus.
Yep, anonymous
Yep,
function.
anonymous func.
Okay, can you do me a favor, Quanticus? Can you put that second line in your own words? So, like, when you're reading that out loud, how do you read that? I'm gonna treat this like how I treat Spanish. We're going to start asking the questions that we need to sound a little bit more literate in software engineering here. My brain really sucks at the terminology of all of this. I just burnt my coil.
Quanticus. For each element of the array, add sum to that element where element is the element during each iteration.
Probably making a very lovely sound. I really hope my microphone's not picking that sound up. Give me 1 second and I'll read that, by the way. Trying to get some... Trying to get some juice in my vape. Prevent it from burning again. Alright. So, for each element of the array, add sum to that element. Add sum to that element where element is the element during each iteration. That is, for each element of the array. So For each element
Quanticus.
of the
You
array.
could rewrite it to x equals sum plus equals x, where x is an element of ARR, but that'd be hard to make sense of.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more or less trying to do it, more or less trying to ask it where, like, when you're reading it out loud to somebody, like how you do with me, like you're like, hey, can you read, this part of the code that you did out loud? Because obviously that helps me, right? I'm more or less trying to get to that point, to that part where, when we're going over something like this, I'm not saying it so far off, because these videos aren't so much just to stream them. So, there's a lot here. So one, obviously, I want to build a little bit of a community, for people that like coding and for people that are interested in learning, and, also to teach myself. But I also want, like, something that I can reference later on. So, like, if I'm in the middle of a project and I don't remember how to do something, I have a video that I can go back on, and I want to make sure that, in future videos, when I'm trying to explain something, I'm explaining it in the way that my future self would understand. More, you know what I mean? Kind of feel like I'm blabbing out nonsense, really. But definitely want to have it where, later on down the road, I have something I can look at and, with the correct terminology.
I know what you mean.
Okay, good. So I'm not just blabbing out nonsense. But yeah, so, that's why I ask if you can put it in kind of your own words there on how you would read it out loud. That way I can kind of start studying that. So for each element of the array, add sum to that element, where element is the element during each iteration. Okay. I think we might be making a breakthrough there. Might be. We'll get there. Maybe I'm thinking too hard for it right now. Most of these methods take in a function that can have 3 parameters. The first one is the actual element, the second one is the index of the element, and the third one is the whole array. These parameters are optional. Here we only use the first parameter. If we want to get the index as well, we write array.forEach. So we're passing in element and index into an arrow function. So we're going to console log running function on element with index plus index. Where did L come from here? Most of these methods take in a function that can have 3 parameters. The first one is the actual element. Okay. The second one is the index. Alright, so it's probably something going on outside of what we see there. Alright. The map method creates a new array from calling a function for every array element and does not modify the original array. The function we provide can have 3 parameters, same as the last method. Const new array equals array.map element. Whoa. Okay, hold up here. Alright. Const new array equals array.map element arrow element times 10 console log new array. Output will be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So the element is 5. Okay. So in theory here, we're kind of creating a loop. This is a question, by the way. This isn't a statement. So we're creating a loop. So that way, the number that we put in for element, like, screw this map part. Yeah, it's a loop. Okay. But technically, if we wanted to, you know, we could do, you know, like, we could do, like, it's not going to make any sense, but we could do, like, favorite element times 10, and then it would do whatever's passed into element times 10, only one, you know, however many times favorite is, yeah? So, like, this is only looping 5 times because technically it's 5 into an arrow 5 times 10.
It'll be favorite asterisk
10. Favorite times 10. Okay. Yeah, I understand this map part, but this part's blowing me away. So this is another way that we can do loops. That's crazy. And I'm sure soon it's going to have me do something like that, and it's going to drive me bonkers because I'm not going to understand it. We will find sum and every. We will use the following array. Let array equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Find method returns the value of the first element that passes the test. It does not modify the original array. The function we provide can still have the same 3 parameters. Const element that passes equals array.find. Element, arrow, element greater than 2, and element is less than 4. Console.log element that passes. So element so if the element is greater than 2 and element is greater than 4, or less than 4, sorry. So it's going to return 3. It's going to loop over the whole array and return 3. Yeah, output 3. Checks if any of the elements inside of the array pass the test. Sum. So const nums above 3 in array equals array.sum. And then we pass in num into an arrow. Num greater than 3. Console.log nums above 3 in array. Oh, it checks if any of the elements inside of the array pass.
Quanticus.
Similar concept. You're passing in an anonymous function, but that function body needs to return a boolean true or false. Okay. So it goes through the array and finds a number above 3, and it's like, yep, true. So technically, when I'm reading that out aloud, it should be const nums above 3 in array, and it returns the element that evaluates to true. Okay, so const nums above 3 in array equals array.sum. We're creating an anonymous function that passes in num, and we check if num is greater than 3. And then we console log nums above 3 in an array, which is giving us true because it returns the element that evaluates to true. Then checks if every element inside of the array passes the test. Const nums above 3 in an array equals array.every anonymous function that passes as num and checks to see if num is greater than 3. And then we're going to console log nums above 3 in an array. So checking to see if every element
the number that evaluated to true, not true itself.
It returns the number that evaluated to true, not true itself. Okay, so it's not going to say true. It's going to say... I'm guessing it's going to say 4, right? Because it's going to loop through until it finds one. The one that kind of completes its task.
Quanticus.
I was more referring to find, I guess. Oh, you were still way up there? What happened?
Quanticus.
I've never used sum. Gotcha.
LOL.
Gotcha. Alright, I think my brain is finally starting to get the hang of this anonymous function thing. My brain really gets stuck on this arrow function, I guess. So I really need to crack down on that arrow function. Filter! The filter method creates a new array filled with elements that pass a test provided by a function. Does not modify the original array. The function we pass in can still have 3 parameters. If we return true inside of the function that is run on an element, that element gets returned to the new array. And if we return false, it gets skipped. We can just return a whole condition instead. Const new array equals array.filter. We create an anonymous function that takes in number, and we check to see if number is greater than 3, and then we console log the new array. So it's going to return 4 and 5. If number is bigger than 3, the condition returns true, so only 4 and 5 get returned. Reduce. The reduce method executes a reducer function for array element.
Quanticus.
You can think of filter like the find...
finds every element that passes the check instead of just the first one that passes.
Okay. So instead of just the first one it comes across, it checks all of it. Okay. E. Okay. Sorry. Reduce is the method that executes a reducer function for array element, and it returns a single value, the function's accumulated result. The reduce method is a bit different. It does have the following parameters. 1. Function. Reducer function to run on every element, which has the following parameters. Total required. The total accumulated value so far. Element is required. The value of the current element. There's a third one that's index, that's optional. The index of the current element. And 4, that's array, which is optional, which is the whole array. And 2, starting value. The value which is passed to the function as the initial value. To understand it better, we will declare a function instead of writing an arrow function. Thank you. Coddy knows me so well. Function reducer that takes in total and current number. So current number, I'm guessing, is the element. So total and current number. Return total equals total plus current number. And then we're going to const sum equals array.reduce. And its arguments. So total turns to reducer. And current number turns to 0. So it's going to be the total is going to be reducer plus current number. Turns a single value, the function's accumulated result. It outputs 15. How does that output 15? Where does it get 15 from? If reducer is total, I'm gonna have to have that one explained. I need some explanations. Coddy has some explaining to do. Where did we get 15? Was there something on this page that declared a number somewhere that I don't know about? I think so. Congratulations! You made it through the hard part of the course. Excuse me? I'm going to tell you this now. I have testing anxiety. It doesn't even matter if I'm not getting graded on this. The testing anxiety comes from the fact that I can't brute force my way through. You made it through the hard part of the course. You finished all lessons. Now it's time to put some of your knowledge to the test. In the upcoming lessons, you will try to solve some challenges that might not be as easy as you're used to. Before we move on, I just want to say that you learned a lot in this course. It is a fairly big course with a lot of information. You might feel a bit discouraged if you forget some of the things you learn, but you should not feel like that at all. Do you know why every programmer jokes that most of the programming is just using Google? Because it's true. The key to being a good programmer isn't knowing every concept. It's knowing every concept that exists. For example, you don't need to know every method in the math object. You just need to know that the math object exists in JavaScript. After that, every time you need to use it, you can look at the documentation or just Google about the math object and use it however you want. So next time you forget how many parameters a built-in function in JavaScript takes in, don't feel bad, because even professionals forget a lot. Just Google it. I tell you what. For something free, I'm going to get a little sentimental here about this.
That example is kind
of booty cheeks for reduce, but to be frank, it's the most complicated and powerful of the methods introduced. Okay, I'll check it out sometime. I'm going to be frank about this. I went 8-9 months in a software engineering boot camp, okay? And that's probably where I struggle a lot with where I stand in coding, because my brain has been jam-packed with so much about it in such a quick recession that my brain thinks that it can't learn anymore. And I'm trying really hard to push through that. And seeing something like that at the end of a go on something that's free compared to something that I did that put me in student loan debt, that put my wife, my wife's credit on the line. You know, luckily they ended up giving it to a collections office, so we were able to get it removed from her credit. But you know, like, that doesn't revert her credit back to where it was. It just takes it off, and then now we can start building it again. But seeing something like that is something I wish that I heard numerous times throughout the boot camp and numerous times after. Like, I put in thousands of applications and heard back 3 responses, okay, after I graduated. The 2 out of the 3 responses were literally the same company calling me back to back and offering to do an interview with me for a entry-level software engineering position that they had here in my area. and in which both times they called and asked if I had I'm sorry, if I had a what's the word when you graduate from college for it, because it's a whole different ball game. But you know, without having to wait for a response for that, pretty much they asked if I graduated college as for computer science, and I explained to them no, I graduated from a full stack software engineering boot camp, and in which they let me know very quickly that they do not count software engineering boot camps, and I do not meet the requirements without graduating from college, and said that I can gladly reapply once I spend 5 years in college for computer science. And then the third time was like months after I filled out an application of them just letting me know there was more better people that were more qualified. Never have gotten closer to an interview than any of that. I got lucky getting the internship that I did get, because the internship went through the same company that did my student loan. So that's the only reason why I got in there. And then, you know, I haven't had anything since, right? You know, like if you look at entry-level jobs now, and you especially look at where I am right now, like I am in no position to be able to work as a software engineer, even entry level. Me personally, I don't think that I have the knowledge that I need in order to be able to even be accepted to do a job. But yeah, I wish that there was something more realistic like that throughout this whole time to let me know, or to let anybody know that you don't need to know everything. You just need to know that the concept of it exists and that Google is there. Like, I see a lot of mock interviews all the time, and like people are like, you know, speed typing away. Like, I got this. I know it right off the top of my head. Like, I don't really see people that go to, what is it, MDM? You know, the MDM website to, you know, double check on something that they need. So that made me feel a lot better. Thank you, Coddy. But everybody, round of applause. We made it to the challenges section in JavaScript. No more tutorials. No more tutorials. We made it here. Obviously, we're not done. We got so much more to learn. I don't think I have any submits left, though. Mario, less. Let's dive into some challenges. As you might have seen, there is a less version and a more version of this challenge. If you feel comfortable with most of the topics we learned, you should do the more version. If you don't feel as comfortable, do the less. But it is recommended to just do both. Let's recreate a pyramid we might see in the video game Mario. In Mario, it is built with tiles, but in our terminals, we will use the pound sign instead of tiles. A pyramid might look like this. A pyramid can be any height from 1 to 8. You are given the height of the pyramid in the program. Your job will be to print it. Remember, every time you print in JavaScript, you transfer to a new line. To avoid that, you should create a string with spaces and dashes of the row and then print the string. Okay, let's reread that. A pyramid can be any height from 1 to 8. You are given the height of the pyramid of the program. Your job will be to print it. Remember, every time you print in JavaScript, you transfer to a new line. To avoid that, you should create a string with spaces and dashes of the row and then print the string. You are given a function called pyramid that takes in a parameter called height. You need to complete the code inside the function to make it print a pyramid as shown above. A pyramid of height 3 would look like this. Given a function called pyramid that takes in a parameter called height. You need to complete the code inside the function to make it print a pyramid as shown above shown above. A pyramid of height 3 would look like this. So it's going to pass in 4, and in which we need it to I imagine it's printing from top to bottom, right? So what if we for loop? Can we do this with a for loop?
Quanticus. Sure, you can use a for loop.
I imagine we do something like that. Yeah? And then for 0 I less than height, because it's just a number, it's not an array. Add 1 to I. Alright, give my brain a second to think about this nicely. So we have something that we can call to print or to log the hashtag. And this is probably something that we could easily do in our compiler, right? Really? Nope. 4. Okay. So we have something that we can call to put a symbol in. We have a for loop. Okay, hold on 1 second. Sorry.
Quanticus. Did you learn about string.repeat?
I don't believe that there was a string repeat. I'm not quite looking at the very moment. Sorry. I'll check here in a second, though. But I forgot to turn my parent brake on. We'll have to go back and look, though. Sorry, I got ice cream in one of my keycaps. I'm trying to get it out.
Quanticus. LOL. Quanticus. Have you tried licking it?
Yeah, it's like in a crevice that's really hard to access. I'm trying to keep it from getting into my switches. There you go. I got it. I still turned my microphone all the way down by doing that. Again, not sponsored, but Keychron, you make some real good fucking keyboards. Very easy to pop the keys off. Very comfortable switches. Very long lasting battery life. Bluetooth funk. Nice. But I went back and looked. I didn't see anything for that. For string.repeat. So, let's go take a look, shall we? So it says prototype. String.prototype.repeat. Is that the same thing?
Quanticus. It's the same. Quanticus. There's probably other ways to print to the same line, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay, so there's probably other ways to print to the same line, but I don't know off the top of my head. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Like I'm always down to learn new things. Like obviously I'm here, right? Like I'm down to learn some new stuff. Just gotta bear with me. You know, I might not understand it for a little while, but the repeat method of a string value constructs and returns a new string, which contains the specified number of copies of the string concatenated together. Const mood equals happy. Console.log I feel mood dot repeat 3. So expected output is I feel happy, happy, happy. Does it actually do that though? True question. Yes. Says expected output. It's guaranteed. Okay. So does this belong to repeat? Yeah. So repeat and then counts that many times. An integer between 0 and infinity, indicating the number of times repeat the string. Return value. A new string containing the specified number of copies of the given string. Range errors thrown if count is negative or the count overflows maximum strength. Using repeat. ABC repeat -1, ABC repeat 0, ABC repeat 1, ABC repeat 2. Really? So in theory, we could have it instead of a for loop. In theory, we could have it the string times, or not string times, but the, how can I put this in understandable terms? So in theory, with that, we don't need a for loop. Right? It could be more like
Quanticus.
Well, you're printing
Well,
a
you're
string
printing a string height number of times.
Oh, okay. So we can't do. Okay, so we still need the for loop then, yeah. All right. Okay. And it would look something like that, right?
Quanticus.
But do you want to repeat the symbol or something else? Well, technically, yeah, don't we? We want to repeat that symbol in rows, yeah?
Quanticus.
Each iteration of the loop represents a single line
that you print.
Okay. Well, like, I wasn't saying we were done.
Quanticus. Oh yeah, you're right there.
Oh. I didn't say we were done. Oh, what did I do? Console log. Oh, we only need to do that when it's... Ignore me. Okay. So when we do it this way, we're getting 4 repeated. So we're taking this one step at a time, okay? So we got repeat on there. We're iterating 4 times because we pass them forward to pyramid. So what we need it to do is start at 1 and add 1 each time. start at 1 and add 1 each time. I feel like it makes sense in my brain. Okay, no. This needs to stay 0. 0. Okay. And then add 1 each time. We did something like this already, didn't we? Except for it didn't print out it didn't print out symbols, it printed out numbers.
Quanticus. Height is constant, so you can't just repeat height number of times.
Alright, height is constant, so you can't just repeat. Right. No. Okay. There's gonna be a -1 in here somewhere. Or a +1. Yeah? Height. +1. I don't think that's... No. Alright, stop doing this to yourself, Brandon. Alright. What if we let... Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, kids are getting rowdy. Okay. Alright, so height is constant, so you can't just repeat height. Can't just repeat height number of times. I is changing every loop iteration, so it's gotta have something to do with it. Right. Right. So it's gonna be here. For sure. So I don't know, like symbol plus equals I plus symbol. Oh damn. We did get a different result, but I don't know what result that was. Okay, let's backtrack. We did get more pound signs, that's for sure. Okay. So we're just repeating heights. And we don't just want to repeat height. It helps to see this here. So if I is going 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, then we need it to be able to print symbol with I. Yes? Like, we need symbol to be console logging however many times that height is at. Or not height, but I is at.
Quanticus. Yes, but maybe you don't want to start at I = 0. Restream.io.
Hey! We made it to 100 today.
You've received 100
Good job.
messages today.
Pat on the
with
back,
Restream
Quanticus,
chat.
because you're the one that's been here the whole time.
Quanticus.
Whoop, whoop.
Or you can. Quanticus. Actually, you can.
Actually, you can. Should we not? Should we not do it? Okay. Yes, but maybe you don't want to start with I = 0. Okay.
Quanticus.
No, you're doing
you're
good.
doing
okay,
good.
okay. All right, so we're getting somewhere. That's for sure. All right, so I need to figure out how to correlate symbol with I. So symbol equals I plus symbol. Wait. Is this just I? Okay. We're getting somewhere. So instead of getting 4, we got 3, and it's in the wrong direction. And it's in the wrong direction. Okay, but
Quanticus. But now you're printing 0 number S on the first line.
Now you're printing 0 numbers on the first line. Okay, so we change this to 1? No. Oh, I do see that up there. Okay, all right, so
Quanticus. Yeah, that's progress.
Okay. So now we're not printing zeros, but we're missing 1. Why are we missing 1? Because we're running this before we iterate. So this isn't in the right spot. Hey!
Quanticus. Look at your loop check.
No, I need both of these. Oh, I broke it. Put it back. Okay. Look at your loop check. Okay. For I = 1, if I is less than height, add 1. Or if I is less than height, then console log symbol.repeat. Let me put it back on the side there. Symbol.repeat I, which would be 1. Okay. Which would be 1 2, 3. And then when we reach 4, I is no longer than height. Okay. I don't think that's really the right way to do that, though. Is that the right way to solve that?
Quanticus.
That's fine.
That's fine to do nothing wrong with that.
Do nothing wrong with that. Okay. I know that I did it in like one of the past challenges where it didn't quite match. And come to find out, it would pass like 2 out of 3 of the challenges. But it could have just been challenge specific. Okay, so now we do have this.
Quanticus.
But now you have to figure out how to add the spaces. Oh. Oh. Which is what we'll put it in reverse. Oh. Is it 4 spaces? 3 spaces, 2 spaces, 1 space? Are the spaces looping with it? Wow. That is... Okay. So I imagine then, let symbol be that. Let space equal a space.
Quanticus. Think about the number of spaces related to the height.
All right. Think about the number of spaces related to the height. Oh, I was just texting. I wasn't stumped. I was just texting. I wasn't looking. Oh. Okay. Okay. So here's a question. Is there a way that we can do symbol plus space repeat I? Or do I have to do something completely separate?
Quanticus.
Something completely
else.
Separate. Okay. So we're gonna have to do another for loop.
Quanticus. But
kind of close. Okay. Let me use the restroom real quick. I'll think about it over a restroom break.
Quanticus. You can put more than one thing in the same console.log.
Okay, so you can put more than one thing in the same console log. Okay, so it's gonna be hot space dot repeat I. Oh.
Quanticus. Separate I. Quanticus. Oh, we're getting
Oh, we're
somewhere.
getting. Are we? Are we though?
Quanticus. You added spaces, just not the right amount.
You added spaces, just not the right amount. Okay. You added spaces, just not the right amount. How many spaces did I fucking add? Is this one? Is this two? How do I know how many spaces I've added? I'm okay.
Jumbo.
Quanticus. I starts at 1 and ends at height.
Starts at 1 and ends at height. Losing my mind over here, man. I see that I can do math now. Oh, what did I do? Oh, what did I do? I didn't like that.
Quanticus. Ask
Ask
yourself
yourself,
how many spaces you need in the first
line?
line.
I don't know. I'm guessing this is 4. 4 spaces. 3 spaces, 2 spaces. 0 spaces. Yeah. Okay, okay. So it's gonna be 3. Oh! Ah! Wait! Wait! No. Okay. So first line is 3, second line is 2, second line is 1, second one is 0. So we need to do this in reverse. It can't be I minus symbol, because if we do I minus symbol, or not, if I do I minus height, it's going to subtract 4 every time. Height minus
Quanticus. Or think about it in terms of height, which is 4.
minus I. Ah, ah! We did it! We did it! The brain was silently turning. The gears were silently moving.
Quanticus.
Oh, baby. Let's go. See, my brain, like, understood that math was happening earlier, which is why I got excited, but then it was like, wait. Okay. Holy crap, we did it. We did it. It might not like it, but we did it. It might not like it. Oh, no! My daily executions are over. Just like I said. Wow. That is crazy. That's a new one for me. I have never been able to do that. And of course, it's always thanks to Quanticus. Quanticus over here, very smart person.
I think you can
trust that it's correct. Okay. I think we can trust that it's correct. So we can do a submit for that for tomorrow. Holy crap, look at that though. Alright, hold on 1 second. We'll review it. Give me 1 sec. All right, so sorry, I had to do a bunch of math, and I'm like helping kids figure out dinner. We might save this challenge for tomorrow, but just to review it. So Mario more, it is recommended that you finish Mario less, which we did before moving on to this challenge. In this challenge, we will also recreate pyramids from the video game Mario. If you ever played that game, you might have noticed two pyramids facing each other. In this challenge, we will have to recreate those pyramids, for example. Wow. That's fun. These pyramids have a height of 5. The height will be anywhere from 1 to 8. You are given the height of these pyramids in the program. Your job is to use the height to print these two pyramids facing away from each other with 2 spaces in between. Remember, every time you print in JavaScript, you transfer to a new line. To avoid that, you should create a string with spaces and dashes of the row and then print the string. You are given a function called pyramid that takes in a parameter called height. You need to complete the code inside the function to make it print pyramids as shown above. A pyramid of height would look like this. So that will be our challenge for tomorrow. If anybody's watching a VOD of this and, has been fun kind of learning along the way. I know I've been failing these past couple of days. I'm sorry. It just might be one of those things where we go to the next course and just only get better from there. So if you've been, watching and want to give it your best go, there you go. There's another challenge for the double pyramid. But thank you so much, Quanticus, for all your help. You really have been really helpful for it.
Quanticus.
Thank you so much.
Good work today.
And then, it's also been awesome, too, because you've been helping with more of hints, less of answers, which is super awesome. It just really helps to kind of try and let that brain power really, correlate what's going on. But other than that, thank you so much for coming by yet again. Check out our videos on YouTube. Make sure to give them a thumbs up. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.